Salaki. Yo, what's good? What's good? Hold on, fix this camera. Yes, Salaki, yeah. I think I guess it's straight. But yeah, Salaki, yeah. I know y'all see the title, right? Becoming life, basic instructions, becoming life eternal, right? Part 2 of part 2. Because I don't know why the last video cut off, but we're gonna pick up where we left off at in chapter 3. We're just gonna start at 28, right? Of course, again, all praises to the Most High God, Yahweh, who do so in His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, right? Let's get right back into it, right? Because, where we, left off, we was, it was, talking about, like, far as how to treat one another and all that stuff, right? So 28 says, 3 and 28. Oh, before we get that, hold on. Let's jump right back up. Cause I like how this one read. Where it says, where it says, my son, verse 11 in chapter 3, it says, my son, despise not chastening of the Lord, neither be weary of his correction, right? And we go to Romans 12 and 16, right? It says in the New King James Version, it says, this is Romans 12 and 16, it says, be the same mind towards one another. Do not set your mind high above things, but associate with the humble. Be not wise in your own opinion, right? So, I like how that one read versus, the Romans in the KJV. You don't want to be wise in your own opinion, and you don't want to, feel like you just better than everybody, and you don't want to associate with people who you may feel is, beneath you or whatever, right? Back over to verse 28. It says, say not unto thy neighbor, go and come again, and tomorrow I will give thee, when thou hast it by thee. So this is speaking of like when you owe a person some money or whatever, or you promise to give them something a certain day, and then they come that day that you tell them to come, and you be like, you got the money with you, but you like, you know what, come back another day, right? So saying like, not to do that, because like we was getting into it earlier, like when we go to Leviticus, we go to Leviticus 19 and 13. It says, thou shalt not defraud thy neighbor, neither rob him of the wages of him that is hired. The wages of him that is hired shall not abide with thee all night until the morning. Meaning, like I said, so if you're supposed to pay that person that day, you pay them that day. You don't tell them, all right, come back tomorrow. Because like I said, that causes strife. Because now that person is looking at you like you're a snaky individual, and they gonna tell somebody else like, man, hey, don't do no work for such and such because they don't like to pay people. So now you're getting a reputation of being a cheapskate and don't like to pay people, right? So it brings a whole lot of stuff with it, right? And so it says, stay, say not unto thy neighbor, go and come again, and tomorrow, and I will give thee when thou hast it by thee. Despise not evil, despise not evil against thy neighbor, seeing he dwells securely by thee, right? So, meaning, like, it says devise not evil against thy neighbor. Meaning, don't be planning on, robbing your, fellow people. It's an old black man that's dead across the street, he by himself, or it's an old black woman that's dead across the street, she by herself. And, you like, I know she alone, I'm going to sneak over there and rob the house or whatever, right? So it says, don't come up with a plan to do evil to thy neighbor, which is your fellow Israelites, that dwells securely by thee, meaning they in the security of their home, peacefulness of their home, and then you come and disrupt that, right? So let's imagine, you somewhere what you think is a safe place, right? Something that you feel comfortable at. But then somebody come and change the whole environment. And now you don't feel safe and comfortable there no more at the place that was your place. So that's what happens when you break into people's houses, right? They develop that PTSD, right? So it says, devise not evil against thy neighbor, seeing he dwells securely by thee, right? So you like, so it's like you watching this person, they schedule, when they at home, when they leave, and all that stuff, and you're just plotting, right? So Leviticus, and you just plotting, like, what, or, you're like, man, I can't stand that person. As soon as, I can't wait. You know what I'm saying? And you just waiting, lurking for him, right? Like Ply said, we be in them bushes, right? Just waiting, right? Then it says, this is Leviticus 19 and 17. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart. So we're not supposed to have hatred towards one another, right? We're not supposed to let it fester to the point where now you hate this person, right? You're supposed to, whenever it's an issue, you're supposed to try to squash it and make sure y'all good, right? Sometimes it might be agree to disagree, but just make sure there's no animosity and hatred behind it, because it says, thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor. Meaning, don't hate your brother. You can correct them, because that's what the word rebuke means. To correct, them, or, but you don't do it with like, okay, well, I hate this person and all that stuff. Because sometimes, depending on your approach, it might not be accepted, right? So they might not receive it. So it says, thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor, and suffer not sin upon him, right? Meaning, okay, say like you see somebody doing some messed up stuff, right? And so if you don't say nothing, and they're doing some messed up stuff, or something that's contrary to the laws of God, then technically you hate your brother also, right? But we got to understand, these things are manifold. These verses, these prophecies, these parables, right? So you hate your brother. But if you correct them in that thing that they're doing, then that's showing love. But you don't correct them in rigor and hatred and all that stuff, because like I said, again, you got to, know how to approach different situations. So it says, thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart. Thou shalt not thou shalt anywise rebuke thy neighbor. Meaning, like I said, don't be hateful towards your people. Correct them. If they're doing something that's contrary to what God says, correct them. But don't be hateful. Then it says, thou shalt anywise rebuke thy neighbor, and suffer not sin upon him. Thou shalt not revenge nor bear a grudge against any children of thy people, right? So that would stop a lot of what they call black on black crime, right? A lot of black on black crime will vanish overnight if we uh, don't hold, what it says, thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against thy children of thy people, right? Because how much unaliving goes on in a city because of revenge, because somebody did something and now this person want to react, right, and do something, right? The whole Bloods and Crip gang violence, started off one incident that just festered into like what we see today, right? Because we don't follow this simple law right here, Leviticus 19 and 18, thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudges. So, not to say that you can't have any issues with your, fellow people, but we are to work them out. Like Christ said, if you have a problem with your brother, you go to him and him alone and you tell him. Then if your brother don't hear you, if that person don't want to listen, then you bring a witness. Then if they still don't want to listen to you and the witness, then you put them on blast, right? Then after you put them on blast and embarrass them, and they still don't change, then you cut them off, right? But a lot of times what we do, we go straight to the last step of what Christ told us to do and just go straight embarrassing people, whether it's on the internet or however people, just go and just say stuff rather than going to that person first and talking to them and trying to get some commonality for y'all won't have any more beef and strife. But we don't do those things, right? Like I said, we just act off an impulse, emotion, especially in this new age. People go to the internet with stuff. Like, I was looking at something the other day, like these YouTubers were beefing on YouTube because I guess they were getting each other channels straight. Then one of the YouTubers pulled up on the other YouTuber and his wife and aired them both out over some YouTube beef because of channel strikes and stuff, right? So it says, thou should not avenge nor bear any grudges. And that was a grudge. Dude got upset because, he got his channel strike, stricken, right? And then it says, thou shalt not bear any grudge against any children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am Yahweh, right? That's how we're supposed to treat each other, as we love ourselves, as we treat ourselves, right? Isn't that what they say, the golden rule, right? So, like I said, the book of Proverbs has a lot of wisdom and knowledge on how to deal with people on a day-to-day basis. That's why I titled this video, this lesson, in such a way, right? And it says, envy not. Strive not with a man without cause if he has done thee no harm, right? Again, so don't try to devise plans to come up to hurt, people for no apparent reason, just because you got a little taste of blood, you got a little violence streak in you, right? So it says, thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart. So a lot of our people have that hatred for one another, right? You see two brothers, see our people walking down the street. Oftentimes we sizing each other up, mean mugging each other, wondering if we can take this person, like if something jump off, versus being warm to each other with a smile and, hey, how you doing, with a greeting and all that cool stuff, right? We don't do that. Sometimes, depending on the person, if you do smile and say what's up to them, they're going to look at you like you're crazy, right? So it says, strive not with a man without cause if he has done thee no harm, right? So like I said, don't just be trying to just start stuff with people, right? Just for no reason, just to, just kick up dust, right? Then it says, envy not envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways. Right? And this is another important verse that we need to all focus on. Envy thou not the oppressor. And that's with a big thing that majority of our people suffer from. Want to envy the oppressor, because we think if we talk this way, if we walk this way, if we dress this way, they'll just leave us alone. But it don't happen that way, right? So we envy the oppressor. We think, well, because we know the history of violence of these people, right? So, and they had projected their violence to perfection, to the point where we envy the oppressor, to the point where we know, all right, well, shoot, we ain't gonna ruffle no feathers. We ain't gonna try to do anything that's gonna get them to be who they naturally is, and that is violent creatures, right? We know this, right? Why do you think the people that came before us, how they knew these, well, you have those, well, don't say that, or don't, they oh, you gonna get us all killed, right? Oh shit, that concept of you Negroes gonna get us all killed, that's a real thing. Yeah, we joke about those, coon as trading as coons, right? But that emotion, that thought process is a real thing. These people will actually kill everything if they feel threatened, right? That's what they do. But, in our PTSD, we march and we sing and stuff like that, and we hope that we don't anger them. We say, well, we're not going to do it like the Black Panthers did it, march around with guns and stuff, because we saw what happened to them, right? They, assassinated all of them. And so just sing and dance and march, right? Maybe they won't hurt us, right? That's what Martin Luther King thought. Martin Luther King thought, well, shoot, if we don't do anything, maybe there was this. Nah, they was getting their ass beat. Look at the footage. They was getting their ass beat. So that's what we up against, right? And then the ignorance of these people, they thought, well, if the world sees that we getting our ass beat, and these people beating our ass, maybe this would help. Nah, it didn't. It just made us more docile and more susceptible to everything else they do, because now we think it's wrong to talk like how we're talking right now. Like, oh, don't say that. You still got a whole bunch of people that think Master gonna come and kill everybody because of one little crazy Negro, right? So it says, envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways, right? Don't try to assimilate to these people, right? Don't, and that's what oftentimes we do, whether it's, we want to wear a hair like them, right? You got so many of our women putting blonde hair in their head, looking crazy, right? But that's what they do, right? You have our, our guys that's trying to get them a Becky with the good hair, right? And they think if they, go the Shannon Sharp route and get them a little snow monkey, right? They think that they're gonna be all right. That's a status for them, right? That's what's the word I'm looking for? That's a status symbol, right? And that's crazy that we in 2025 and we still look at them people as a status symbol to be with. That's crazy and sickening at the same time. Envy not thou oppressor, and choose none of his ways. Don't be like these people. Don't want to associate with nothing that these people like to do. Because these people are the wicked of the earth, right? The Bible says so. And not only do the Bible say so, history tells us, right? We can close this book and just look at history and see what they have done, right? It's not no opinion, right? So it says, envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways, right? But that's what we do, right? We want to be like, we saw the movie Scarface, right? When Scarface came out, everybody want to be the drug dealer, the dude that started from nothing and became the kingpin dude, right? Everybody did that, right? We did that, right? You didn't see like Italians, little Italian kids wasn't going around trying to, do all that stuff when the movie Scarface came out, but we emulated that, right? Because it says, "Envy not thou oppressor, and choose none of his ways." But we figure, well, shoot, Master is a robbing, stealing, thieving, murderous criminal. That's how he got his riches in America. So maybe I should be a robbing, stealing, thieving, murderous criminal also. But it don't work like that. You can't do what they do, right? That's why they build buildings called prison and jail for people that want to do what they do. Oh, you think you can be like me? Well, here, go sit your butt down in this place right here and think about it, right? That's what they do. But it says, "Envy not thou oppressor, and choose none of his ways. For the forward is abomination, and the Lord is for the forward is abomination to the Lord," right? So, and what that is, the forward, right? People that's, you have those what they call blunt, right? Like, oh, this person is so blunt, they speak their mind, they just, but, and it's probably we're gonna get it because we're reading Proverbs. And the Bible says only a fool tells you everything that's on their mind, right? And it says the forward is abomination to the Lord, meaning somebody that's just don't think before they speak. They just say stuff, right? Just saying stuff. Like no rhyme or reason. Just like, why did you say that? Like, what? Why do you say that? Right? Just say stuff. Forward speaking. Just no wisdom behind it. No proof. No nothing. It's right because I said it. Right? Just forward speaking. Right? Without even knowledge of what you're speaking. Right? Speaking presumptuously. Right? That's why it tells you to think before you speak, right? A lot of us don't think before we speak. But we should think before we speak for many reasons. Because, number one, you're going to end up sounding like a fool. Number two, you might end up lying by accident. Just by just saying some stuff. And then it's not even true. And then now now you're looking like a fool because you done said some stuff and now you can't even remember that you said it because you just be talking. Hold on real quick, Salaki.
Okay, all right.
Hold on, Hezekiah. I'll bring it to you. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Salaki. Yeah. Got some work being done in the kitchen. Getting little tiles and stuff fixed. So you probably hear a little noise in the background and all that. But yeah, so yeah, just forward, just speaking presumptuously, just running your mouth, right? And you don't want to be found looking like a fool when somebody call you on some of the stuff that you say, right? So it says, for the forward is abomination to the Lord, meaning God hates people like that. That's what that abomination means. God hates people like that. So, like I said, don't be that type of person because it says the forward is abomination to the Lord, meaning God hates people that just run their mouth and just talk and just say stuff. It says, but his secret is with the righteous, right? Meaning, it's you have it's about like for example, right? If we saw this movie I don't know why I can't remember the name of the movie. State Property, right? So when he was locked up with Freeway, then they was locked up for some time. Then all of a sudden he found out that Freeway was the plug, Then he like, dang, I've been, you know what type of game I'm in. You know what I'm, and I've been looking for a connect. And he like, but you didn't even come out and say it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, but then, he wasn't mad at him for it, but he just thought that was kind of like, kind of somewhat dope because he wasn't running his mouth and just acting like he was the big nigga in jail because he had the plug, right? So that's what I mean by it says, but his secret is with the righteous, meaning, people, you're not, you think before you speak, right? And you don't say everything that's on your mind, right? And it says, the curse of Yahweh is in the house of the wicked, but he blessed the habitation of the just, right? So a lot of times people wonder why their household is a mess, right? Why, everything is going awry in their household, but it says the curse of the Lord is in the house of the wicked, but he blessed the habitation of the just, right? And it says, so like I said, so so, and that, like those people that not keeping the commandments, people that hate the Most High God, because God says He would visit the iniquities of their fathers to the third and fourth generation, right? So like I said, a lot of times you have turmoil in your household, right? Whether it's whatever the case may be, because but it says the curse of the Lord is in the house of the wicked, but he blessed the habitation of the just, right? And it says, surely he scorned the scorner, but he gives grace unto the lowly, right? So you have scorners, people that scoff at, you're trying to tell them what's right, you're trying to tell them what's good, and they, instead of them listening, they kind of making fun of what you said to them, like, and you actually trying to help them, or they not being receptive to what you're saying, so they're scorning, they're being scoffers. Then it says, surely he scorned the scorner, but he give grace unto the lowly, and the lowly is like the meek. Hold on, Salaki, real quick. Yeah, Salakia, dang. Keep on messing with everything. Hold on, Salakia.
Hey, yes. Can you please only the bedroom?
Clean it?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Just only.
Okay.
Okay, that's all.
Alright, okay, yeah, that's cool.
Alright.
Yep. Hey, watch out, little guy. Hold on, Hezekiah, okay? Yes, Salakia. Guess he's probably down fixing the flow. But yeah, so yeah, let's get back to this for this thing cut off again, cause they trying to, I don't know what's up with this signal. But where we at? Says surely he's scorneth the scorners, but he give grace unto the lowly. And like I said, the lowly is, like, the meek. You know what I'm saying? The humble. You know what I'm saying? Like, not people that's like so pompous and stuff, right? And it says the wise shall inherit glory, but shame shall be to the promotion of fools. So, like I said, so and we see this all the time. You look at a foolish person, you just be like, shame. That's just a shameful, right? So it says the wise shall inherit glory, but shame shall be promotion of fools. So that's why we look at certain people and be like, that person foolish. Look at, you see some stuff, you be like, dang, look, why they, So, like I said, that's their promotion. That's what they wear, that foolishness. everybody can see when they look at them, right? Chapter 4. And it says, hear ye children, the instruction of the Father, and attend to no understanding. For I give you good doctrine, forsake ye not my law. So this is good doctrine that the Most High has given us, these laws, right? These commandments that he gave us to keep, right? But of course, we got an institution called church that tells us that we don't have to keep the law. But God said, what did he say? For I give you good doctrine, forsake ye not my law, right? This is good doctrine. Like, what have we read here that seemed like, you know what, I don't know if this is a good idea, right? I think all this is pretty, solid, pretty good stuff that we should be doing as a people, right? So it says, for I give you good doctrine, forsake ye not my law. For I was my father's son, tender and only beloved in sight of my mother. He taught me also, and said unto me, let thy heart retain my words, and keep my commandments, and live. Right? So, it says, and keep my commandments and live, right? Then it says, get wisdom and understanding for, get wisdom, get understanding. Forget it not, neither decline from the words of my mouth, right? So, always be willing to hear a wise word, right? Always, and keep, the commandments and the faith, right? Because that is our wisdom, like we read in Deuteronomy, that these laws and statutes and commandments will be our wisdom to the world, right? Because look what we're reading. This is very wise stuff to do, right? And this is not, I know it, to some it might seem common, but not everybody does this, right? If they do, then we'll be living in a different world. But it says, where am I? Boom. It says, get wisdom, get understanding, forget it not, neither decline from the words of my mouth. Forsake her not, and she shall preserve thee. Love her, and she shall keep thee. Wisdom is the principal thing. So it's telling you, wisdom is the principal thing, right? Like I said, but we live in a society that, like, oh, like Jesus said, get money, and everybody pushing, materialism, right? But the Bible says, God says, wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding, right? And that's what we should be striving for, understanding, right? Straight up and down. Let's get Proverbs 2:2, right? Proverbs 2:2 says, so that thou incline thy ears unto wisdom, and apply thy heart to understanding, right? And that's how you do it, because it's not enough to just know something, right? Like, knowledge is one thing, right? The wisdom is applying that knowledge that you know, right? And that's what you have to do. Like, so it's not enough to just know stuff, right? You have to apply it. I can know that fire is hot, but if I, walk in it or stick my hand in it or put something in it, it's going to catch fire. So, what I'm saying? So, knowledge is the knowing, and the wisdom is the applying, putting it to action, the stuff that you know. So it says, then it says, let's get Joshua 1:8. Joshua 1:8 says, this book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, right? Because this is what this Bible is. It's the book of the law. The laws that God gave to us to follow our Constitution and our history. This is not some type of spooky, ooky, uh, mystifying, book that is so hard to understand, right? It's our laws and history, you right? It's just that these people done created a million gazillion religions, off of stuff and make this stuff seem like it's just unattainable to understand when it's really simple. And the Bible tells you how to understand it. Keep the laws of God. Then He will open up your understanding. That's what it said. All you have to do is try it, right? If you don't believe it, try it, right? For this book of the law shall not depart out thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe and do according to all that is written therein. For then thou make thy way prosperous, and then thou shall have good success, right? That's what's going to make your way prosperous. Not when pastor, get up there and tell you sow $1,000 seed, right? That's not going to make you prosperous. That's going to make you broke and make pastor prosperous. But this says, this book of the law shall not depart out thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day in and night. That thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou make thy way prosperous, and thou shalt have good success. Right? It didn't say anything about sowing a seed of $1,000, right, or nothing like that, right? Or helping pastor get a jet or a Bentley or a watch. It didn't say anything like that. Keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments is what's going to make us prosperous, right? And it says, where we at? Boom, boom, boom. Then, let's get Acts 17 and 30 real quick. And it says, at the times of this ignorance, God winked at it. Right? So meaning before we came into the knowledge and the truth of this Bible, the understanding, when we were living the way that we were living before, God winked at it because He know we didn't know any better. Because we was going off of what the little, stuff that they done told us before and thinking that was what was up. But it says, at the times of this ignorance, God winked at it. But now commandeth all men everywhere to repent. So now that we do know what we should be doing, how we should actually worship God, right? The real way. And what we should do, what God actually wants us to do. We repent, meaning we change from what we thought we should be doing, right? And do what God say do, right? So it says, at the time of this ignorance, God winked at it, but now commandeth all men everywhere to repent, because He hath appointed a day in which He will judge the world in righteousness by that man who He hath ordained. Thereof He hath given assurance unto all men, in that He hath risen Him from the dead, right? So, understanding that we got, our big brother Christ, right? That, that died for the people of Israel, right? And so understanding that, and we have to repent and change what we're doing, right? So it's just like, say like you run in the streets, right? You run in the streets, then you got your partner with you, right? And he about to be the next, draft pick or something, right? About to be the biggest thing since Michael Jordan, right? Or whoever, right? So then, y'all get into it. Something pop off. Somebody gets unalived. So now his whole future is messed up. And you tell your friend, like, hey, look, you got Your whole career ahead of you about to do blah blah blah. Look, I'm gonna stay here. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna tell the police it was me. I did this, right? Go off and be great, right? So that happens. So you go to jail for murder or whatever the case may be. So then some years later, here comes that same friend that you were trying to protect and save, right? Now he's in there with you, and you looking like what the hell? Like, I don't sacrifice and save, you know, and for you won't be where I'm at now, and now you right next to me, right? So that's the thing. So it says where am I? It says, so that's why it says because he had appointed a day in which he judged the world in righteousness by a man who he have ordained. So if we're not accepting that man as, you know, as the Christ, as the Messiah, as the Redeemer, then like I said, we're gonna have to face the consequences for all that. Like it says in Deuteronomy 18 and 18. But it says, but back over here, it says, exalt her, and she shall promote thee. She shall bring thee honor when thou do embrace her. She shall give to thy head a ornament of grace, a crown of glory shall she deliver to thee, right? And that's the thing, because when people, you know, see that you know, got some type of, you know, wisdom or knowledge about yourself, they treat you a little different. You know, they, you know, speak to you a little different, right? And so that's what it means by exalt her, and she shall promote thee, and she shall bring thee honor, and when thou do embrace her. Meaning, people that's around you and see that you knowledgeable, you know, got wisdom in certain areas, and they could need that. So you might end up getting that promotion that end up, you know, is able to use your skills for what you good at. Or, you know, people, you know, will look at you, you know, as a pillar or someone great in a community because of certain things that you may be, you know, able, be good at. You know, so people will begin to look at you as a wise and understanding person because you keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, right? Being what Isaiah 60 called a light to the world, right? So let's see what this says real quick. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so yeah, this is John 8 and 32. So it says, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free, right? And that's what the truth does. It makes you free, right? And not to say that, you know, like I was saying earlier, like, not be, you know, since, you know, once you realize you're an Israelite and you start keeping the commandments and all that stuff, like your life just start turning peaches and cream and get great. No, it doesn't. You know, that's when Satan gets more busier, right? You know, when you're trying to do right, that's when the demons come. You know, that's when everything happens, right? So that's why it says, "He that endures to the end, the same shall be saved." So, cause you gotta understand, like, you know, we talked about this before, but I'm gonna be real quick. The Most High is cold like this, right? Yes, Israelites is the chosen people, right? But within that lineage of the Israelites, you have the special elect, and those is what the Most High is looking for, right? So, although we all have right to the salvation, but that special elect is what he's looking for to govern this nation of Israel, right? And Then well, let me see. And the thing is, right? People don't understand that the Most High is not looking for everybody. That's my point, right? So if He's dealing with you, He's working with you. That is a blessing, and that's something that we that you will want to build on, because this is a very exclusive. This is not inclusive, right? This is not an inclusive thing, right? This is very exclusive, right? So that's it tells you that, like, even in was it Isaiah 28 or 29, it tells you that the Most High blinding certain people so they won't understand this book, right? Because He doesn't want everybody to know, because He's not looking for everybody, right? He's looking for a special group of people, right? So it says, and she should give to thy head a ornament of grace and a crown of glory, and she should deliver thee. Hear, O my son, receive my saying, and the years of thy life should be many. I have taught thee in the way of wisdom, and I have led thee in the right path. When thou goest, thy steps shall not be strained, and when thou runnest, thou should not stumble. Meaning God is going to be with you, right? He's going to be with you. He's going to make sure, everything is, He's going to be with you. And it says, enter not into the path of the wicked, and go not the way of the evil man, right? So stay away from wicked, evil people that that, just up to no good all the time, right? And it says, and don't go the way of the evil man, meaning like, okay, well, I know such and such, they can put me on because, they can give me something I can, work with on the street, and I can make me a little extra money, and, then that can help me out like this, or, or I can, rob this store because I need a little extra money to do this or do that, or I can hit this person in the head, take whatever they got in their pocket, right? So it says, enter not the path of the wicked, and go not in the way of the evil man, right? So a lot of times people will get enticed by the lifestyle, and here's why. Because the Bible says that the wicked gets no rest, right? Although you may think, okay, yeah, this thing keep jumping. But yeah, you might think they living it up, but a lot of times it just, like I said, it's just a mirage, right? So it says, enter not in the path of the wicked, and go not in the way of the evil man. Avoid it, pass it not, and turn from it, and pass away. Meaning, don't even, when you develop a certain amount of discernment and wisdom, you can see a bad situation viewing and be like, you know what, I'm not even going to participate. I see where this is going, so you know what, I'm out. I don't want no parts of this. Let me out the car, though. Hey, Doe, pull over. Let me out, right? So when we see certain things that's happening, or when the energy change, you be like, you know what, the energy's starting to change. Let me, exit, right? So it says, avoid it, pass it not, turn away from it, and pass away. Meaning, avoid these situations, these troubling situations, so you don't have trouble later. So you won't be sitting up like, oh dang, what happened? How I get here? Why this is so bad? Because like when you see trouble happening, avoid it. But sometimes, we just go head first into stuff, right? Without even assessing the situation, right? But it says avoid it, pass it by, turn from it, and pass away. For they sleep not, except they have done mischief, and they sleep, and their sleep is taken away unless they cause some to fall. So you have some people that just can't have a good day without they causing hell to somebody, right? We all probably know somebody like that. Maybe you go to work with somebody like that. Maybe it's your manager, your supervisor. All they do is just live to make the workday hell for everybody, right? So it says, for they sleep not, except they have done mischief, meaning they can't have a good day unless they done cause somebody pain and suffering. As long as they know they caused somebody some harm. Made somebody, gave somebody some type of inconvenience. They feel good about that, right? And think about this. I think, what's that? That's psychopathic behavior, right? I think they say 15% of Americans are considered clinical psychopaths, right? Don't mean that you're gonna go around and serial aliving everybody. It just means that sometimes you might enjoy seeing other people get hurt or seeing other people struggle, right? That's typically the trace of a sociopath or a psychopath. They don't have to do it themselves. Sometimes they just like to see other people struggle, right? So it says, where am I from? It says, for they sleep not, except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away unless they cause some to fall. Meaning they can't even get a good night rest unless they know for a fact that they, caused somebody that they think, harm, right? Let's get this real quick. Let me see if I can find it. I think it's... Let's see, which one is it? It's one of these. Hold on 1 second. Bear with me. Is it Haggai? I think it's Haggai. Hold on. Alright, let me just find it like this. Be quicker. I was trying to be a smart, thinking I'm smart. I can just find it. Let me just do it like this. Here we go, right here. It says, so just read this again though, right? So it says, the other one says that they don't rest unless they cause it. What it says, right? It says, for they sleep not, except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away unless they cause some to fail. Right? So this is Malachi chapter 2. It says, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. So this is 2, right? This is, like I said, and we use this to speak about this current system that we live in. This white supremacist ran system, because that's all these people do. It says, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds, and when the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hands. Meaning they can make these laws, right? They can make, redlining laws, discrimination laws, Jim Crow laws, segregation laws, all these different laws, because it's in, like the Bible says, because it's in the power of their hand, right? Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it. Meaning they make it come to fruition, right? A lot of people say, well, you Israelites are racist, right? But racism is a system. You need a whole enterprise to keep it going. You can't call us racist. You can only call us disgruntled, right? Maybe prejudiced, perhaps, but not racist, right? Because racism is a system. and you need the ability to apply it. And it says, because it is the power of, because it's in the power of their hands. Hold on. Okay, I'll give it to you in a little bit. All right. So go back over there, please. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Yep. My son messing with me, right? So yeah. Yeah. So it says, because it's in the power of their hands, and they covet fields, and they take them by violence, right? That's how they took America. They took it by violence, and now they're trying to tell our Hispanic and Latino brothers that they gotta go. When they took it by violence, it says they covet fields and they take them by violence, and houses, and they take them away. So they oppress a man in his own house, even a man in his heritage. Meaning, that's what they do, right? They oppress people. They erase culture and heritage and make you assimilate into what they got going on. Then, if you ain't, and by assimilating, that means being a second-class citizen to them, right? And if you ain't with it, you gotta go. Then it says, or if they get tired of you, you gotta go. So back over here it says, for they sleep not, except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away, unless they cause some to fall. It's this little devil that stay across the street from us, right? All she does is just be nosy, be a Karen all day long, right? And it's crazy because it's like, do you have a life? I know you're probably an older lady, you probably retired, but no, they don't. And it's crazy because they got, people got like cameras and stuff like that, right? This lady camera is pointing towards our building. Like, what is you doing, right? And the only reason why I found out her camera is pointing our way because, I don't know if y'all, I told y'all like something happened like several months ago, and they was like, yeah, we, looking at the camera, across the street, that's how I found out that, they got a camera, or the lady got a camera pointing. I'm like, how nosy can you be? But this is who we dealing with. That's why it says, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds, and when the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hand. That's why this old white woman thinks she can bully, a whole bunch of little color folks, right? Because it's in the power of their hand. Then it says, for they sleep not, except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away, unless they have caused someone to fall. Meaning, this is what they live to do. They live to derail somebody, right? That's what they do, right? They get a kick out of it. Like, you saw that movie, the Reuben Carter story, the hurricane, the one that Denzel played in. Listen to the cop knew that he was derailing that man. Matter of fact, he spent his whole boxing career trying to derail him, right? From the time that he was a kid, right? Just because, right? You might have a teacher, right, or somebody that you had in high school that was always seen to be against you no matter what, right? Because, for they sleep not, except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away, unless they cause someone to fall. For they eat the bread of the wickedness, and drink the wine of the violent, right? Meaning, that's how these people get down, right? And it says, but the path of the just is as shining light, that shineth more and more unto the perfect day. The way of the wicked is as dark. They know not at what they know not what they stumble, right? Hold on, let's get that in the blue letter real quick. Cause I like that verse, right? And that's the thing. It says the way of the wicked is darkness, right? Meaning, like, foolish people they don't understand why they do what they do, right? Have you ever seen somebody that just constantly just seem to keep bumping their head against the wall, like keep doing the same old, and you like, what is wrong with you? Like you keep doing this and you keep, whether you do this and you end up in jail or you do this and you end up in the same predicament that you was before, and you can't figure it out. Like, how do you keep ending back here? Like, you've been through the situation before, you obviously not learning from your mistake, right? So it says, what it says, it says, it says, the way of the wicked is darkness. They know not at what they stumble, meaning they can't figure out why they keep on getting back in their predicament. Then you can tell them, like, hey, the reason why you keep getting back in your predicament because you haven't learned X, Y, Z. Then they'll look at you like, nah, that ain't it. Then find yourself right back in the same predicament, right? Hold on, let me just see how this read in a different translation. For hold on 1 second. Boom. Alright, let's see. Alright, let's read this one. It says, the NLT, it says, but the way of the wicked is like a total darkness. They have no idea what they are stumbling over, right? So, meaning people that's in a perpetual, like, spiral and just always constantly in trouble or seem like they're having bad luck or always got some type of controversy going on. It says, but the way of the wicked is like total darkness. They have no idea what they are stumbling over, meaning they don't know why they keep ending up in the same predicament. Let me see it. It says, what other version they got? It says, but the way of the wicked is like a deep darkness. They do not know what makes them stumble. Right? So again, that's the NIV. So it says, but the way of the wicked is like deep darkness. They do not know what makes them stumble. So people will find themselves in a loop of trouble because they're not catching on to the lesson that the Most High is trying to get you to understand. And that will prevent you from keep being back in that same predicament. Like, dang, how I keep ending up in this stuff again? How do I get this again? Right? Because it says, the way of the wicked is darkness. They know not at what they stumble. Right? So you gotta, what's the word? You gotta evaluate yourself. You gotta look deeply inside yourself to say, okay, what is wrong with me? Right? What the heck is wrong with me that I keep on doing this? Right? And be serious. Be honest with yourself. Right? That's how you figure out the lesson. And don't be so quick to get out of trouble. Because the Bible says when you're in trouble, the Most High says, don't be in a rush to get out. Because sometimes we get into dire situations and we panic and we start doing whatever, just throwing stuff at the wall to see whatever sticks. That's confusion. Because again, He's going to give you a way out. You just have to learn how to train your thoughts and slow them down so you can see that way out that He's trying to point out to you, right? Sometimes the Most High just want to shake you up a little bit for a while, right? But don't be in a rush to get out of trouble, because then you will either put yourself in a deeper hole or you end up missing the whole entire lesson and then you'll be like what we're reading here, where it says, but the way of the wicked is like deep darkness. They do not know what makes them stumble, right? So yeah, don't be that guy. So it says, where we at? And it says, my son, attend to my words, incline thy ears into thy sayings, let them not depart from thy eyes. So what's between your eyes? Your brain, your mind, your thoughts. So it says, let them not depart from your eyes, meaning don't let them leave your mind. Keep these commandments of God, right? Study them, meditate on them, right? So it says, let them not depart from my son, attend to my words, incline thy ears unto my saying, right? And let them not depart from thy eyes, and keep them in the midst of thy heart, for they are life unto those that find it, that find them, and have health for all, and health to all their flesh, right? Because like Jesus said, a man, should not live alone. Man cannot live off of bread alone, but off of every word that comes out of the mouth of God, right? So we have to live by these scriptures, swear by these scriptures, right? And it says, let not them depart from thy eyes, and keep them in the midst of thy heart. Keep it in your mind, in your thoughts, in your actions, right? Then it says, for they are life unto those that find them, because that's what these are. This is what the breath of life is, the commandments, right? That's what the breath of life is, right? And we have to keep them, because it is life to them that find it. Then it says, and health to all their flesh, meaning it's going to keep us, right? It's going to keep us stable. It's going to, preserve us. It's not going to have us crashing out, how people say nowadays, right? So that's what it means. Then it says, keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life, right? Meaning keep your mind diligently. Keep it disciplined, right? Because what it says, for out of it are the issues of life, because your thoughts, man, your thoughts become your reality, right? You always thinking negative, always got something negative to say, right? Then you have a negative perspective on the world, your thoughts become your reality. So keep your thoughts diligently on the truth, right? And, and it says, keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life, right? So like I said, don't, because like I said, everything starts with the idea first, then it becomes action. So if you train your thoughts, to keep the commandments, to, love one another, to treat your fellow Israelite like how you want to be treated, right? And you train your thoughts to look at each other as a brother and a sister, more so than a enemy, right? You know what I'm saying? That's you become what it says, and it says, keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Because like I said, your thoughts become action, then you end up creating your own reality. You can create your own heaven, your own hell, just off of how the decisions that you just made. The little permanent decision that you just made off a temporary emotion, right? We see it all the time. People throw their life away over a temporary emotion that comes and goes, and they make a whole permanent decision, right? And destroys everything, right? So it says, put away from thee a forward mouth, meaning don't be so forward speaking, like, you just gonna say whatever you want, you tough Tony, you can just speak your mind, and you just forward speaking, because that becomes ignorance after a while, right? So it says, put away thee a forward mouth, and preserve and perverse lips, and put far away from thee. Meaning, don't be speaking, this folly and crazy, wicked stuff, or this, stuff that's like, that's people can, look at you like, oh, this person like, just, they just just a nasty speaker, right? Just don't know how to say things right, or what's the word I'm looking for? Like or you just always speaking negative about people. You always have something bad to say about other people, right? Or you just saying untruthful things, right? You just what they call a pathological liar, right? So it says, put away from thee the forward mouth, meaning just speaking presumptuous, right? And the perverse lips from far from thee, being a pathological liar, a person that just say things, right? Then it says, let thy eyes look right on, and let thy eyelids look straight before thee. Meaning, stay on the straight and narrow. You know what I'm saying? Like the horse's bridle, I think that's what it's called, or the horse's little thing that they have right there. Is made like this, where they can't see to the left or right. They can only see straight ahead. So it's like that. So the Most High is saying, just keep your eyes straight ahead. Don't turn left or the right. Looking at what such and such is doing, trying to keep up with the Joneses and all that stuff. Like, nah, right? It says, ponder the path of thy feet, and let all thy ways be established, right? Let all thy ways be established. And, hold on real quick. Hold on, Hezekiah. Go, just, give me a few minutes, okay? So it says, you ponder the path of thy feet, and let all thy ways be established. Turn not to the right hand, nor to the left. Remove thy foot from evil, right? So, yeah, exactly. So, like we just said, stay on the straight and narrow, right? And refrain from, people that's a bad influence, or that can be a bad influence, or that, have bad energy that can, cause you to be in a whole world of trouble, right? There's some people right now, that that you have to deal with them like on your terms, or you have to deal with them just in a certain type of fashion. Because if you be around them too long, you're going to be in first 48 somewhere. Because just the trouble that they cause. You're going to be mixed up on some stuff that you don't even know how you got there. You just came there to drop a piece of mail off or something, right? And you only said hi to them. And now they done got a whole concoction of you, them, and everything else, right? You got people like that, right? That would just make up stuff and just say things. And just to have turmoil, just to start stuff, right? Because people are bored and people are sick. They have mental illness. Some people like nothing but to watch everything burn, right? So it says, turn not to the right hand nor to the left, remove thy foot from evil, right? So yes, we gotta use our wisdom, discernment, to pick our company wisely. Don't be around people that's, act in such a way, or that will cause us to get out of our body, right? And make us act a certain type of way. So that's chapter 4, right? And a little bit of 3, trying to put it together, but the dang signal kept on closing because the powers that be don't want the truth to come out. But yeah, check out the YouTube channel, Covenant of the Zealots, right? Like and subscribe, all that cool stuff. So I'm gonna say shalom, peace. I'm out. Hopefully that was edifying.